Tonight, the Toronto Raptors receive a hero's homecoming as they open the NBA season. And we finally got a look at those championship rings during tonight's pregame ceremony. Plus, street construction above Line 1 goes wrong and commuters pay the price during the evening rush. And
I think it's good that we've got two parties there that are going to want to outdo one another.
the 416 is painted completely red once again this election, but will the Liberals deliver on the promises they made for the city during the campaign? Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. We begin with some breaking news, though, right now. 3 people have been shot. One of them is dead after a shooting on Highway 410, a ramp in the north end of Mississauga tonight. Here's what we know. It happened, as we said, on the northbound Highway 410 off-ramp to Derry Road. Police were called to the scene just before 10 o'clock tonight. Emergency services tell us they pronounced a man dead at the scene. Now, they also rushed a man and a woman to hospital with life-threatening injuries. We do have a camera and a reporter on the way to the scene right now, and we'll take you back to that scene for an update a little later in our show. We want to turn our attention now, though, to the Toronto Raptors. It has been 4 months since the team won its NBA championship, sending the city and the country into a bit of a frenzy. Tonight, those celebrations continued at their home opener, and that's
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Just soak that in. The new season kicking off with the unveiling of the 2019 championship banner after the NBA commissioner presented every member of the Raptors organization with their own championship ring. Our Greg Ross joins us live now from outside Scotiabank Arena. And Greg, yet another night of Toronto sports history that you get to take in.
I'm a lucky guy, but what an emotional night this was for the Raptors and their fans. I certainly am, Mike. Yeah, the Raptors, obviously, with a big ceremony to commemorate that championship last June. You saw the unveiling there of that banner. This is a night that started with a video montage of the Raptors playoff run last spring. And it was just emotional. People getting tearing up in the stands watching it. In fact, there was one point where they showed that Kawhi Leonard buzzer beater in the second round of the playoffs last year. Fans in there were cheering like it was just happening in that moment. And then, of course, they handed the players their championship rings, these massive rings that seemed to take up the entire front of the players' hands. They were just incredible, incredible rings. They actually showed one of them to us a little later on. These big rings filled with diamonds worth tens of thousands of dollars. And then Kyle Lowry took the microphone and he pointed up to the Raptors. And once again, you showed that moment where they unveiled that banner, that championship banner. That's what people had been waiting months for, all summer, to see the Raptors unveil that banner. And we got to see it, and nobody can take that away from this team. So that was a lot of excitement. Players were dancing, they were chanting, they were cheering. It was an emotional moment, particularly for the players who were around and on this team during that playoff run. And then they had to actually play a game. They actually had to put that aside and play a game. And the Raptors were a little sluggish early on in this game. At one point, they were down 17-6. They managed to storm back in that first quarter. They managed to keep this one close. They needed overtime, and Mike, I know you're going to show highlights of this game later on, so I won't go into great detail, but this was an exciting finish for the fans in the season opener here. We got to see some great performances from players like Pascal Siakam. That's what the Raptors were hoping for. That's what the fans have been hoping for. Obviously, this is a bit of a different team without players like Kawhi Leonard and, of course, Danny Green, who both left. They're both in LA, both playing for different teams right now, but this is a different Raptors team, but this is a Raptors team that feels that they can give it a good go at another championship run. We'll see if they can make that happen, but they're off to a good start here, Mike. Not only do they get to unveil that banner, not only do they get those championship rings, not only do the fans get to share in that special moment, but they win their first game here. First of 82 this season. We'll see how well the Raptors can keep up that pace, but a special night here, and one that I'm sure the 20,000 people that were inside Scotiabank Arena and the thousands more that were out here in Jurassic Park won't soon forget.
A great start to the season for sure. Okay, thanks a lot, Greg Ross, reporting live outside Scotiabank Arena. Now, Greg was talking about those championship rings handed out tonight. You can see them from the cheap seats, I'm sure. They were really something special. The design features the team's North Chevron logo, Scotiabank Arena. It's got the Toronto skyline and a 1.25 carat diamond on top of the Larry O'Brien Championship trophy. Now, here's more from the ring designer and a closer look at the hardware.
Some first of this ring. It's the largest NBA championship ring of all time. It has the most diamonds, over 650 diamonds, has over 14 carats of diamond carat weight in it, and 14 karat gold. We think it's one of the best rings, if not the best ring ever made in championship history.
Just massive. Now, one more note on the Raptors. GM Masai Ujiri getting some good news before the game. He won't be facing criminal charges for an incident that took place after Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Ujiri faced accusations he punched and hit an Alameda County Sheriff's deputy as he tried to get onto the court after his team won the NBA title. Now, he was apparently stopped and asked for his credentials. Ujiri met with the DA's office yesterday along with his lawyers, and they all decided that the matter was best handled outside of the courtroom. In a statement, Ujiri says he is extremely pleased with the decision. Well, a section of Line 1 is closed again at this hour for some emergency overnight repairs. This is after a construction accident this afternoon. Shuttle buses are running until the end of the night as service northbound has been suspended between St. Clair and Lawrence. Southbound services have been restored. Now, all this happened earlier today. Here's a look at what happened at the height of rush hour just after service was suspended in both directions. The TTC says a private contractor working at street level drilled through the concrete subway tunnel liner midway between Lawrence and Eglinton Station. The TTC deployed upwards of 90 shuttle buses trying to clear the backlog. Full service is supposed to resume tomorrow morning. And to the federal election now, where the Liberals' sweep of both the 416 and a great deal of the 905 were keys to the party's path to victory last night. This map here tells the story. Liberal red from one end of the city to the other. Party taking all 25 seats in Toronto, just as they did in 2015. The Conservatives taking 6 seats in the surrounding 905 area. The Liberals made some big promises on important issues for the city, and as our City Hall reporter Lauren Pelly explains, there's hope that another term will mean more progress on tackling transit, housing, and gun violence.
Merci, mes amis. Thank you, my friends.
Justin Trudeau can thank Toronto voters for helping him win a second term, with every riding in the city voting Liberal. So what does Toronto get back? On the housing front, the city is grappling with sky-high rents and average house prices of more than $800,000.
They did come forward during the last term with the National Housing Strategy. The funding flow was backhand loaded to some extent, so the years of the bigger money were to come now.
That strategy includes a benefit to help families in need pay their rent.
That can translate in housing benefits for over 30,000 people in this city.
During the campaign, the Liberals also promised first-time home buyer subsidies and vowed to build 100,000 affordable homes over a decade. That's a goal that's 5 times smaller than what the NDP proposed under leader Jagmeet Singh.
I think it's good that we've got two parties there that are going to want to outdo one another, and hopefully what that will mean is they'll get together and they'll work out a scenario that we can see money activated quickly in Toronto.
When it comes to getting around, Premier Doug Ford's Ontario line could soon be a city priority too. Council is poised to back the project in exchange for the province scrapping plans to take over the TTC.
This agreement that we see is a good omen, and the Liberals' commitment to public transit, as they have stated in the last tenure, should materialize in getting things being built here.
And with Toronto experiencing hundreds of shootings each year, the Liberals want to give cities more power to ban handguns. It's a move that's welcome news to the mayor, who also wants to see
Considerable additional investment in neighborhoods, kids, and families.
Less than a day after the Liberals' victory, the question now is, will their promises for Toronto become a reality? It is, after all, a minority government, and it could be an uphill battle to push some of their policies through. It's also possible voters could be back at the polls sooner than they'd like. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
Colette is here with her first look at the forecast. We've got to talk about the wind tomorrow.
Yeah, we do. The wind is going to be the real story. We're not going to see as much in terms of precipitation, especially like this morning, and the temperatures aren't going to be quite as mild either. So the winds are really going to be our story. We'll just show you, though, the daytime highs. Of course, yesterday we saw highs like this. Again today, they're going to come down a little bit, though, as we are heading into midweek. The winds, though, have a look at some of the gusts anticipated, even as we go through the overnight hours, although they'll ease at times. We're going to be seeing some of these gusts 40 to 50 kilometers an hour as we go into tomorrow morning. Still some very breezy conditions coming out of the southwest. And then even through the day Wednesday, we're still looking in some parts of southern Ontario, they'll ease a bit, but we're still looking at significant winds taking you all the way towards Thursday morning, and breezy conditions persist. However, during the day on Thursday, we'll actually begin to see some improvement. So just a couple of blustery days ahead of us. In terms of precipitation, for the GTA, it's kind of pulling towards the north and towards the south. So a stray shower, not out of the question. Same thing towards southwestern Ontario, an isolated shower possible, but primarily it'll be on the dry side. Not the case, though, further towards the north. And Thursday, the chances of seeing some showers even into the city increases. So we'll get into that a little bit later on in the show. Overnight tonight, your low 6 degrees, and tomorrow afternoon, there's that slightly cooler high of just 12 degrees, Mike.
Okay, thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
Ever have trouble figuring out where to put your garbage? I'm Natalie Nanowski. A team from the University of Toronto takes the guesswork out of it with a machine that they created. I'll have that story coming up.
We want to return to our top story now. 3 people have been shot. One of them is dead after a shooting on a Highway 410 ramp in the north end of Mississauga tonight. This happened on the northbound Highway 410 off-ramp to Derry Road. The police got the call about the incident just before 10 o'clock tonight. Emergency services tell us they pronounced one man dead at the scene. They had to rush another man and a woman to hospital with life-threatening injuries. Bring you any updates to this breaking story as they come into us. Well, the case of the woman accused of throwing a chair off of a downtown high-rise balcony was supposed to go to the courts today, but it's now been put over to next month.
The Crown and I are continuously working on this matter, and we are, I guess, discussing possible resolution.
Marcelo Zoya is facing mischief-related charges for this incident last February. Remember this video? It went viral showing the 20-year-old launching a chair off a balcony over the Gardner Expressway. Now, she's turned herself in a few days later. When the case was last in court, her lawyer said he believed the case was close to a resolution. Today, he adds his client has matured since the incident. Well, figuring out which pieces of garbage goes into which bin can be tougher than it sounds, and it's probably why more than 25% of Toronto's recycling is contaminated. Well, now a smart bin built by a group of U of T students is trying to fix that problem by taking the guesswork out of sorting trash. Natalie Nanowski has the details.
So the user just, let's say, the user just places the waste into the brains of RoboBin.
And with the simple push of a button, the machine does the rest. A little camera scans the item and determines whether it's waste, recycling, or...
If you see, RoboBin identifies apple as organic.
The 5 graduate students say the idea came to them when they couldn't figure out where to toss their trash.
Even if we try to make an educated guess, we go wrong.
And most people do. That's because the rules for things like plastic vary between cities and even between office buildings. The RoboBin, a small computer that attaches to a waste bin, can be programmed to tackle all of that.
So what it's doing is basically analyzing each and every pixel separately, and then finds out like what's the best description for the content over there.
The team entered this year's global KPMG Ideation Challenge and won against 600 submissions.
So this team in particular brought to life the business case for their idea by reference to talking about the number of bins at a theme park and the amount of waste that is then generated in a theme park, and we're able to really talk about the dollars that could be saved around, you know, recycling or taxes or the waste management.
Right.
Getting it working wasn't easy. They had to upload more than 35,000 images to teach their computer to differentiate between recycling, compost, and waste. It gets even more tedious. To get the machine to recognize something like an apple, they had to show it all different types: red, green, yellow, half-eaten apples, and even apple cores.
We want to implement it on a very local scale and do a test run in our neighborhood.
The goal is to have machines like this in place in buildings in the next few years.
They're in discussions with some organisations about taking it further, and I think people get it.
The team estimates the RoboBin could save cities millions and solve at least part of the world's waste problem. Natalie Nanowski, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, amid all the celebrations tonight, the Raptors actually did play a basketball game. Well, some highlights, plus a wrap of the Leafs-Bruins game coming up.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
I just can't get enough of this moment. Tonight's Raptor game starting with that unveiling of the NBA championship banner. The team's minds, though, perhaps distracted as New Orleans got off to an early lead. The Raptors would battle back, but Pelicans were up 61-56 at the break. Toronto would try to keep the game close. Game tied down to the wire. Norman Powell tries there for a buzzer-beating win, but misses. Game goes to OT. The Raptors go on a run. Fred VanVleet right here, the nice three. He finished the game with a career-high 34 points. Crowd excited at this point. Raptors win the opener 130-122. The Leafs in Boston playing their second of two back-to-back games. First period, Bruins on a power play. David Pastrnak takes a feed to the side of the net, turns, puts it through Michael Hutchinson. Leafs tie the game, though, in the second. They capitalize when Brandon Carlos stick breaks. He doesn't. It feels bad. Kasperi Kapanen, though, blasts the pass through Tuukka Rask. Boston would take the lead again. Once again, Toronto ties it. Alexander Kerfoot gets a one-timer to the back of the net. But Boston pulls ahead for good in the third. They'd win tonight 4-2. Colette Kennedy's back with her extended forecast. So windier conditions tomorrow. Will that keep the rain away?
Yeah, well, wouldn't it be nice if it always worked that way? You know, it's going to be not bad in terms of what we're going to be seeing. I think mostly we'll have dry conditions. Now, up into cottage country around Barrie and points towards the north and to the northeast, as the system pulls northward, you'll have a greater chance of seeing some showers there, or south. So southern tip of the Golden Horseshoe could see some wet conditions. So all around, what we'll be dealing with are some gusty southwesterly winds. So those showers close by, even if they're not in the city, and a minor drop in our temperature. So just not as mild or above seasonal as today or certainly as yesterday. In terms of what we're looking at, though, for precipitation, see how it kind of splits? So the main center of this system here is pulling up to the north of us, which is nice to see. So it's kind of riding along the jet stream, moving away from the Great Lakes. As it does, trailing behind it, we have some of these showers. But we're going to get quite a bit of sunshine in there in between. So kind of variable skies, meaning at times more cloud cover than we see at other times through the day tomorrow. And then the breeze, you just have to consider that that's going to make it feel a little bit cooler, even though it's coming from the southwest. Now into Thursday, yes, we're going to see some more significant rain to the north of the city, but some of these may tag us. So into the afternoon, quite a chance that we'll see some scattered showers moving through the GTA as well. So that's how it looks in terms of precipitation. These are the winds, though. They're going to be mostly from the southwest. This is a very large system. And as it moves through, kind of taking its time, we still see that counterclockwise circulation in that pole driving these winds in from the southwest. You see here, some points, those gusts are going to be over 50 kilometers an hour. That's through the day Wednesday. Even Wednesday night into Thursday morning, we're still looking at some very breezy conditions, especially stretching from the GTA all the way back into southwestern Ontario, and then those will begin to let up as the day wears on Thursday. So there will be the light at the end of the tunnel. Here you go overnight, some isolated showers possible in southwestern Ontario, lows mostly around 5 degrees, 13 for the high tomorrow with kind of a clearing trend. So more clouds earlier, and then by afternoon you'll see less and less. Into the GTA, the temperatures overnight tonight, 5 to 7 degrees for our overnight lows, and mostly partly cloudy skies because of that rain to the north. But then in tomorrow with those blustery winds, highs just going into the low double digits there. And looking ahead with the temperatures, they actually come up a little bit as we go into Thursday. And again, those winds will begin to ease. Friday, still a mix of sun and cloud. And then into the weekend, we'll see kind of, at this point anyway, Mike, looks like sort of a split decision in terms of seeing some rainfall coming back at us.
At least some sunshine on Saturday.
You got it.
Thanks a lot, Colette.
You're welcome.
We want to return to our top story now. A shooting in the north end of Mississauga involving 3 people. One of them is dead. This happened on the northbound Highway 410 off-ramp to Derry Road. And that's where Natalie Nanowski is. She joins us live now from the scene. So Natalie, what can you tell us?
Well, Mike, as you can see right behind me, there is a very heavy police presence. Police are investigating, and they've taped off a good section of Derry Road. They're blocking the off-ramp exit from the 410. That's because they got a call just before 10 o'clock this evening that shots were fired. And when they arrived on scene, they found a car completely riddled with bullets. And inside, they found one man dead. He died on scene, and 2 other people, a woman and a man, injured. They're in critical condition, and police say they were taken to hospital. Still unclear right now exactly what happened, when and where the shots were fired exactly, and what the cause of all this is. But police are investigating, and they are expecting to provide an update later on this evening. Right now, just to inform anyone if they are heading out on the 410 that the off-ramp is closed to Derry. The on-ramp is still open. And Mike, we're expecting an update from police a little bit later. Back to you.
Okay, Natalie, thank you. And of course, we'll have updates on that tomorrow morning on Metro Morning. You can follow that story. Also look for updates on cbc.ca/Toronto. Also tomorrow on Metro Morning, as we close in on Halloween, have you ever wanted to take one of those haunted walking tours of Toronto? Well, turns out there's an app for that. Matt Galloway is going to be speaking to the developer of an app that lets you summon up your own local ghost tour. You can hear that at 8:20 tomorrow on Metro Morning on CBC Radio 1. For now, we want to leave you with more from the Raptors championship celebration at the Scotiabank Arena tonight as players receive their championship rings. Good night.